podcast.
Bring your friends.
That's what I think.
I think you're right. And we're live. We're live.
We're live.
We're live, gentlemen.
We're live.
We are live. We are. It is Friday. We are
Cheers,
live,
brother.
gents.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, man. If you're tuning in on the Patreon, you're going to love this one. We got Roli Delgado back, man.
Yes.
We didn't have video last time I was on.
No, we did not have
We did
video.
not. We did
Yeah.
not. It was
It was at your house too.
Yep.
You
was
were
cool.
still building.
Yeah, I was just starting the barn. And
dude. How's that
yeah.
going?
well, the barn's done. That we're on to another house. And
Yeah, that was the video you showed me earlier?
yeah, that's my house.
Okay.
So that's like
Damn.
right across the driveway from where we were sitting on my
Damn.
porch. And the barn was just getting started when you were there last. Like it really took shape pretty, didn't feel quick, but when you think back, you're like, oh man, a lot's changed in a
Yeah.
year and a half, you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. In a year. Shit, look at where we are in a year.
Yeah.
Like, shit changes pretty fast when you work hard, man.
Yeah, when you work every day, things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
There's a quote that really stuck with me recently, and it was people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10. And I was like,
Yeah.
God, it's so true, man. It's just so true. So
That's
yeah.
like when you were saying earlier, you're like, oh, it's hard to stay consistent. Man, I just literally sat with my wife one day and I was like, I'm going to do this as a job and it's going to suck and I'm going to hate it, but I'm going to have fun doing it. It's just the extra stuff that's going to suck, which is
Yeah.
like the editing, the adding stuff and whatnot. That part is like,
Getting
you know,
hold of people.
getting a hold of people. Like when you texted me, I was like, yeah, fuck.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
fuck. That's a story. That's a story right there, bro. But it doesn't always work like that.
Sure.
Arcagier, huge sci-fi writer.
Mhm.
We've had him 3 times.
Yeah.
And all 3 times he's been amazing. But dude, to get a hold of him, it's a bitch. It's a bitch sometimes to get a hold of him. But that dude's always working. That dude's always writing.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
got
always
a-
putting a book out. It seems like.
dude.
Yeah.
That dude, he's a 6-figure author, and I think he's written like over 15 novels. Like his story, like, and we got him because we had a friend of mine tell me, if you have him, I'll listen to your show.
Yeah.
And I
you're
was like,
okay.
I was
Okay.
like,
Okay.
okay, no problem, bro. And I messaged him out of the whim, and sure as fuck, he answered like 3 weeks later. And he said, man, you've had some heavy hitters. I don't think I could compare. And he was talking about Michael Wert. He was talking about you because he like researched everybody.
Mhm.
And I was like, dude, I think you underestimate like how famous you are.
Yeah.
He goes, no. And I was like, yeah, you should be. And we got him, dude. And
Yeah.
by God, the second time we had him, we had my boy Sean, who was the one who asked me, he's a fan.
Yeah.
And we had Sean, dude. I've known Sean for 12 years. Sean was my SWAT instructor. I've never seen Sean smile that big. Like he was like,
He's very happy. Very happy.
oh, he
He's
was
like,
so happy.
"Ah."
And that does it for me, dude. Like my dad's a huge fan of yours.
Hmm.
From back in the UFC days. And like when I told my dad I had you, he was like, shut the fuck up. How do you know him? I'm like, because I've done jujitsu. He's taught me jujitsu, Dad. He's like, shut up. And I'm like, so I sent him a picture of you and he goes, oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. Like you're not gonna hit a home run with everybody, you know. But dude, I love jujitsu, guys. Like I really do.
Yeah.
Like today, I just got done training. We trained nogi, and I was so mad. I was so mad.
You said it didn't go. You didn't have a perfect session.
No. I always have a great training session
What were you
because
mad about?
I don't like nogi.
Oh,
I fucking like nogi, man.
it's all the same to me, man.
How is it the same though? Like that's
You
what I
have to.
don't get.
You just have to. Like all of jiu-jitsu is about controlling an opponent, and so, like, either, you can use the grips in the gi, or you can lock your hands together around somebody. Either way, like you can float on them, you can hold them, but either way, you got to control somebody. So,
Mhm.
that's kind of how I look at it. And yeah, obviously, like there's a ton of differences, but when you really take a macro approach to it, it's like I really want to be on top of you on both.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I want to stay on top when I
Wanna
get on
stay on
top,
top, yeah.
and then I want to submit you.
Yeah.
And so obviously, like your tactics are going to change some. But I really enjoy both. I don't mind playing with all the arbitrary weird rules in the uniform and the gi. I just kind of play the game the way it's written, and then in no gi, it's like nowadays, we're all kind of playing ADCC rules, so that's cool too. I don't mind if people, he'll hook me and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, okay, well, I better sort that out, So yeah, I like them both.
I think one of the biggest things for me is just I'm not big on wrestling, so it's like I have to figure out. I like Toriando passing. I like passing based off the movement and the flow of it. And in no-gi, I feel like body lock is like my best option.
Sure.
I have to body lock you, and I think someone showed like the percentage of
passes at ADCC this year,
and they were from
a lot of body locks. Yeah,
they were from body lock, all of them. So my philosophy for the past, since I got my purple belt, which actually now fits completely around me, I've lost 87 pounds.
Good.
Yeah.
That's putting years on your life.
Oh, dude, it has not been fun. Because there's times, because everybody, you know how it is at our gym. Everybody gives each other shit. And it's like, now it's like, okay.
It's actually in a better mood. They lost weight.
Yeah, that is true. I'm in a way better mood.
Yeah.
I take care of my body a lot more though, since I got married.
The stuff you put in your body affects your brain. I mean, that, like, the idea that we don't just like that's holistic. Like, if you eat a ton of processed carbs and refined sugars and like, if you're eating junk food, like, it will affect your mood. It'll affect. Yeah. I'm just speaking anecdotally here. Like, but it's just common sense. Like, it's going to affect your skin. What you eat's important, and working out obviously has all those great benefits and antidepressant type effects. So yeah, man, if you're losing weight, you're eating better and you're working out more, like, of course your mood's better.
Well, jujitsu for me is about mental health. Like, people think I like to train jujitsu because it's like, oh, this is like, no, it's like I need to. Like, I'm the type of person that I should be training jujitsu because it helps me calm down. It helps me have you heard the expression, you got to sprinkle a little bit of fuck it on things.
No, but I like it.
Just, yeah. I can't remember who it was. There was a rapper, but I can't remember who. Sometimes you got to sprinkle a little bit of fuck it. Yeah. Just sprinkle a little bit of fuck it. And that's what jujitsu is for me. It lets me sprinkle a little bit of fuck it on everything. Because if not, I take everything. I'm too emotional, man. That's the problem I have. People don't know that about me, but like, I'm way too emotional. The problem is I hide it. Like, I know how to control it because.
See, I just shoot squirrels and I feel better. So.
Hope you eat them.
Oh yeah, of course I eat them.
Oh, 100%. This motherfucker lives in bumfuck Egypt. There's like 7 people where he lives.
There's 7 houses. Excuse me.
There's like 7 people in the entire county.
There's probably only one person in each house, but still, it's 7 houses. So
the conversation I had with my wife about an hour ago was, well, how many deer do we need to harvest this year? Because my brother. Yeah, because so we built the second house, and then so the cabin that you guys came to is going to be my mother-in-law's house, and
okay.
And then my brother's going to come and move in with me for a while. Well, he's moving to Arkansas from Chicago, and my brother is, and so he's going to live there. So it's great. It's a better. Arkansas is better than Illinois and everywhere.
Arkansas is. If it wasn't for the dry counties,
taxes are good.
Dry counties. That's the thing.
But I don't live in one. And I don't, there's some churchy stuff that's annoying, but Arkansas is great. So I'm going to have 4 people to feed. And so we just kind of like, it's like such a cool conversation. And she's like, I think 3's enough. And I'm like doing the math in my head. And I'm like, it might be, because we normally buy like a quarter cow. We do that. We end up with a few turkeys every year. And so it's like, and we cook almost every meal. And so we're like really like doing the math. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, we're gonna need 4. Whatever she says, it's gonna be one more. Always
have extra.
Because if your worst case scenario is like you get to treat your dog to like a month of really good dog food, that's the worst case, or you're giving it away to people to introduce them into hunting and cooking game and stuff. So
now you hunt your own turkeys too, right?
Yep.
Because where you're at,
I don't have turkeys where I'm at. But in Illinois, like my grandfather, my father, my brother, you know, I can get an out-of-state permit. So like I have, and there's a ton of turkeys in Illinois with all the farmland. So acquiring that meat's good. And my wife likes white meat better. So there's plenty of room for a joke there. But
I was waiting. I was gonna let you finish. I'm not gonna
getting the turkey is a nice mix for her. And she likes squirrel too. We do squirrel dumplings and stuff.
I've never had squirrel.
It's a very like mild, neutral tasting.
Is it really?
You say?
Yeah, it depends how you make it too, because we always called it because squirrel, there's not a lot of meat on it. We boil the meat off and then we
That's exactly how I do it.
Yeah.
Just boil the whole squirrel.
Just boil it. And then you take the meat, and we usually put like onions and potatoes in it and call it squirrel hash.
I come from an island where there's fruit everywhere, so
well, we have fruit trees here. I don't know if you noticed that, like apple trees.
In California, they have fruit everywhere.
Yes,
we just don't have the citrus fruits here.
Yeah,
It's like, probably because of the weather.
It's the cold.
Yeah,
they can't make it.
You've seen a Puerto Rican avocado before?
No, that's one of the few things I don't eat, man.
Avocado?
What?
Yeah, I know everybody says it. Like, trust me, I'd eat it if I could. I just can't eat it. There's something about it that's repulsive to me.
Well,
I don't like liver, avocado, or olives. And of the three, that I can stomach liver if I have to. Like, I'll eat the turkey liver and chicken livers and stuff when we harvest our own chickens. But
you're better than me because I don't eat that.
I don't like it.
I don't like the heart or the liver. I'm like, that's not.
I love the heart. I love chicken and turkey hearts.
No.
I love them. No. But I eat the deer heart as well, the venison. But the liver goes to the dogs.
The liver goes to the dogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what? My mother-in-law, who's the best, like my wife's an amazing cook, but my mother-in-law is the one who taught her. And she makes a liver pate. And that's a lot more palatable. And I want to eat it because it's so good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll take that liver pate and put a little jelly on it on a cracker, and then it's delicious. So
I just can't stand liver.
Dude, it's tough, man. Yeah, it's tough. I'll
eat it all.
I try to just take my own advice. Like, I tell my son, like, you don't have to like it to eat it, you know, because kids are picky. And I'm like, well, it's fine. Just eat it. Like, you don't have to like it. And so, like, with liver, it's good for me. So I do my best to eat it, even if I don't like it.
That's what they look like.
It looks like a pear.
They're huge. Yeah. They're fucking huge.
But they actually taste different than the avocados you've had, because you probably got them from California.
Fuck if I know.
Cali or Mexico.
Yeah,
maybe Mexico.
It's just one of those things. Like, there's no free will on what you like to eat. Like, it tastes good to you or it doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like, it's just.
Well, it's part of this body chemistry too, whether you like it or not.
I believe that.
Palate.
What else could it be?
It's your palate.
Well, your palate's part of it too.
Your palate plays a huge part in it. That's why I like cigars.
You can develop
a
lot of stuff, but there are certain things that are just, and that exactly, and things I've had changes as well. But man, I try olives every few years. I try a little avocado every few. It just those. I hope I like them. I mean, they're good for you. You know?
I like olives, but I usually have olives and cheese and wine, and that usually works.
I've never really been a picky eater, man. Like, I was in Korea and like I ate everything they threw, I'd eat it.
I don't consider myself a picky eater. I just have three things, you know.
It's also your body. Like,
spinach.
we had you probably know who this guy is, Dan Gardner.
Oh yeah,
he's Sean O'Malley's a nutritionist.
Oh, I don't know.
Dan,
you'd be surprised how little I really
from the UFC.
MMA.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I know, like, but
you're in it, so it's like you're not in it.
But I mean, I have.
You're always working.
Like, I have a couple guys there, but yeah, it's like I care. Like, I watch. Luckily, they're both in the same division, so I watched that division.
I forget, dude.
145.
Okay.
You have TJ Brown and Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
So like I watched them.
You coach their jujitsu though, right?
I mean, mostly. I mean, I'm generally an MMA coach for them, but we have so many great resources for striking too.
Yeah.
You know, just, man, honestly, the guys are so good. You think that they're constantly learning new stuff, and it's like they're still evolving and stuff, but man, like so much of coaching at that level is just taking care of the fighters and looking out for them and making sure they have good partners in the gym and steering them. But like, I'm not in there like teaching them new stuff every day, like just trying to keep them doing what they're good at and not steering away from that, and just kind of taking a bird's eye approach to what's going on with them and
So that's
looking
a
out
lot.
for
That's
them.
a lot different than teaching jujitsu then. 'Cause
Well, it's a lot
jujitsu's-
different than teaching them yeah, it's a lot different than running a class, like these kids have been with us over 10 years. So
Oh, okay. I didn't realize they were that.
yeah,
that long.
they've been like really, truly homegrown fighters from Arkansas. Like
Yeah.
there's just some amazing martial artists in Arkansas, and these kids are some of them as well now, but they're homegrown Arkansas boys, man. They didn't come to us from Illinois wrestling or amateur boxing.
It's just weird because that's like a scientist from Alabama. You just don't hear it that often.
That's right.
What the fuck? Jesus Christ. There's a lot of people from Arkansas that, I mean, shit.
Well, we have Walmart. I'm trying to scoot myself.
Oh,
so.
yeah, you do.
Well,
have
at least you don't
Walmart.
have Kmart. I mean, so
We don't have Kmart anymore.
no.
God, no.
Kmart didn't make it.
Didn't
Kmart
make it.
did not survive.
Is there any left? I think there's some left, right?
I don't know. I
Who
think in
knows?
Puerto Rico, maybe? I don't know.
So
There
little,
was a
it
big
might as
one
well
in
be
Puerto
none.
Rico.
There
There was.
Maybe the hurricane took it, man. I
Does
don't
Puerto
know.
Rico count?
Yeah.
Cool.
For those, yeah. For those count. Yeah. Except when it comes to import because of the fucking Jones Act. So
Yeah.
we're not gonna get into that.
Okay. I was gonna say you could educate me on that, but that's
You don't
out
know
of my purview.
No. So the Jones Act is basically a bill that, and I'm not gonna get into all the details. The nilly willy of it is that for anything to be sold in Puerto Rico for a territory, it has to touch U.S. soil first. and
I
then
also
you
love the
can sell
government.
it.
I was just talking to my
man.
brother. My brother's a plumber, and he was saying he was doing cast iron. I was like, they're still putting cast iron in houses or in buildings. And he's like, yeah, the unions don't want to use PVC because anybody can do PVC. And I'm like, that just shows you like the corruption at all levels of like any type of like government. It's like, dude, PVC's, it's not going to rust. It's lighter. You don't have to deal with lead. You don't have to deal with soldering. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's like in Arkansas, we're putting PEX and PVC and everything,
Yeah, because they're using that we saying the PEX.
It's
a
great.
flexible line, and you
It
can put
doesn't
it anywhere.
freeze.
If
I mean, I'm not saying it can't, but like
it'll freeze, but it expands like 10
it won't
times its
crack.
original, and it won't break, and it'll go back once it's thawed out.
Dude, it's great.
It's amazing. So
You know where
using cast iron sounds like medieval
ancient
stuff. Yeah.
Well, dude, I mean, and they're doing that in the big city of Chicago. It's like just the government just finds a way to muddy everything, man.
Well, look at the military. You really want to go there. Look at the military. The shit that they've done with us.
Especially recently.
Especially like recently. And the thing is like I tell everybody, it's like, listen, when you sign that dotted line,
Yeah,
you're government property.
dude. When people tell me like they're thinking about going to the military, I'm always like, why? Are you really want to turn your life over to politicians? Like,
here's why.
That's
And
not
I
actually
can't answer
why.
that.
That's
Yeah,
actually why you
I can answer that because to an extent, right? There's levels to everything, right? When you're a private and you're an E4 or below, you're really nobody. You're an employee. Once you get into a leadership position, you're middle management. Middle management sucks.
Yeah.
Middle management fucking sucks because I have to tell what the platoon daddy tells me, what the squad leader tells me, and then what my soldiers need. And I got to find somewhere in between. Once you're a platoon sergeant and stuff like that, that's when shit starts getting political. Like a lot of shit gets political.
I just think there's things that bother me, like
what?
well, they gave you guys all vaccines for anthrax.
Yeah. I think it's 11 starts. Is it?
It was
It's like
11 unless they've changed it.
Yeah.
It's like the smallpox one.
But
It's
anthrax
like
can
11 shots.
1000% kill you if you touch it at all.
Well, I mean,
That's
how
the
many
problem.
people how many people are being exposed to anthrax?
Not anymore.
Well,
No.
at the time
when we
there
got
was
it was
they
a
actually
legitimate
mailed
threat.
anthrax to Congress. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like
In
there was
08,
like
09. Yeah.
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 So like the knee jerk reaction to that is to go stab
everybody.
every single
Yeah.
person. Is that logical?
It's not. I'm not saying it is, but unfortunately, it's like I had this conversation when I got ready to go to Iraq, because I went into the army straight out of San Juan
Mm-hmm.
and joined, graduated, and then reported to my unit. Another unit needed bodies. I volunteered, and I went to Iraq a month later. And I remember when I'm going through the line, they're giving me all these shots. I'm like, man, I feel like shit. Like, what the fuck? And a leader that I had looked at me, he goes, "Go read your contract. Your government property. Like, you signed it. If you don't like it, we can go prepare a board and we can get you out. But this is what you signed for. You signed that dotted line, whether you read it or not. That's it." And I was like,
But
oh,
you never,
shit.
exactly. That's the problem. You never really understood what that meant and what you were getting yourself into.
No one set me down.
Yeah.
And my recruiter was really honest with me to a point that he really didn't have to. Because I told him, I was like, what do you think about MP? He goes, my man, you're going to be infantry. Like, you're not going to be infantry. I'm sorry. It's like, you're going to have to learn infantry stuff plus MP stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So the probability of you deploying is a 99%. By God, that motherfucker was right. You know what I'm saying? And he told me, he goes, listen, like, you no longer have free will. Like, you even when voting, I remember they'd be like, hey, remember to get your cards, absentees to vote, but don't be telling everybody who you're gonna vote for. And it's like, well, don't wear any hats from anybody.
Yeah,
and
that's not a military thing. You can't wear any of that to the voting booth.
No, you
civilians can't do that.
You can't do that either, but you couldn't do it just going to work. You couldn't have it on your car because you drive it to work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
none of that.
Yeah.
And then if you have something like, let's say like Eric is the commander in chief and I don't like Eric and I'm an E4 and I put a sticker that says, fuck Eric, I hope he dies. Well, that's disrespectful towards a chain of command because he's part of your chain of command.
Sure.
So it's like, I never really like would engage politics or anything because everybody would just be hush hush about it.
Sure.
And, you know, obviously as I came up, like I saw E7s and E8s, like, yeah, this motherfucker, you know how the budget's going to be and this and that. And like everybody has different priorities. It's like, you know, normally when it's, you know, one kind of politician, there's, you know, some money gets taken away from the military, you know, other things they allocate it to other things. When it's another type of politician, let's put a ton of money in the military. Like right now, the army can't get people in, bro.
Well,
nobody wants to work. You
they
think they
cut the
want to go?
budget,
Do you
too.
think they want to go get shipped off to Iraq?
But it's also much worse than that. You know how much worse it is? How do you think that Iraq was what 20 plus years, right?
Yeah,
20, right?
If Afghanistan was 20 plus years.
Okay.
Actually.
So all these guys that went, that now their kids are at an age where they're thinking about joining. What do you think they're telling their kids? Fuck no, go be an officer. Fuck no, go do jujitsu for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then if you want to join, then go join.
Backpack Europe, something.
Fuck no,
go live.
Backpack Europe. And then if you still want to join, then join. Like I have friends that we've had that conversation with their kids and they're like, I want to join, you know, I'd like to get the GI Bill. I want to do this. And all right, my man, just understand what you're doing.
It's cheaper to just pay for the school.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, dude, you go to junior college for 2 years, transfer to a state school, like cheaper in the sense that you don't sign your life away, that you don't, you know, I mean, whatever. Like it's just I just think about Iraq. I think about trying to occupy Afghanistan, and you know, like and you look back in hindsight, and everybody's saying what the people were saying that were telling us not to go. Were saying before we went.
Yeah,
you know, I look back at Vietnam, and I'm like, oh, they were right.
Yeah, but Vietnam,
they were right. The hippies were right.
Yeah, the
hippies were right.
They just didn't approach it. They didn't approach it in the best way.
I also think there's some really great propaganda against the hippies as well. So like, I'm sure somebody spat on a soldier that was a hippie. I'm sure that's happened to the degree that story has been played out. I think that's a lot of that was propaganda.
Dude, when I went back home to Puerto Rico, I got called a baby killer. Like by people that I thought were friends. Like I have people who don't talk to me because I served.
Yeah.
Straight the fuck up.
Really?
I don't think I've ever told that. No, I never told that. I've been pretty quiet about that. Like when I got back home, I was like super cool that I'm like, hey, I served, I did my thing. And people were like, man, fuck you, you sold out and this and that. I'm like, wow, like that is fucking animosity. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck? Like, what did I do to you? Well, you went to, I'm like, listen, man, like when I went to war, I thought it was going to be to kick down doors and shoot people. And it was more about, man, just fucking keep the dude next to you alive.
What? How's Iraq now?
Oh, it is horrible. There are all sorts of riots now, according to the news.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They're back in, there's civil unrest again. So
But this time it looks like they're not gonna back down.
It's a cycle, man. It's just a cycle. Like I remember when years ago when the Baghdad airfield, and I was like very close to that because my chew where I slept at was close to it, and I was seeing that, and I'm like, ah, well, look at that. And then what we did in Afghanistan, where we left all this fucking money for that, dude. They have
We
enough.
left all the equipment there.
Yeah, I remember when that happened, and me and him were laughing, and I was like, you do realize everybody's like, they're gonna have all this equipment. I go, nah, bro, that's not what you do, because they can't maintain that. Well, what would you do? And me and Eric were like, you sell it. You sell
They're
it
gonna
in the
sell
black market, and you'll have enough money to start your own country. Like, think about it. How much would you pay for a helicopter in the black market?
Or an
Yeah,
M16
imagine.
Or an M16 that
right out of the crate.
that has bro.
I'd buy one.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
exactly.
That's
Exactly.
that's what they're
Yeah.
gonna do. I bet
Be-
that's what they did.
I'm
Like,
sure
I'm sure
also
they did
that.
that because
Well,
after 6 months, that Humvee's not working.
Well,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but like we left Afghanistan with an Afghan government, and those things, well, not technically, and those things belong to the Afghan government, and so then the Afghan government obviously just crumbles, and now so it's kind of like a weird thing. It's not like they left them there. Like here, Taliban, it's like, no, they left. And it's like, we really hope this government that we created.
That's actually not.
well, I'll
Is that not true?
propose.
I'm asking. I'm not.
I'll
I'm not-
propose this to you. Let's say it is right.
okay.
Let's say it is.
because there was an
You would-
Afghan government, right?
you would
But-
There was an
normally-
Afghan guy.
okay,
it
and,
was an Afghan
and
government.
they had their own military,
They had
and we-
yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
we armed it,
Yeah,
and we
100%.
pretty much
We
propped it
trained
up.
them. I trained Iraqi police to
Yeah.
be cops. It's called PTT, Police Transitioning Team Training.
Okay, and
Like,
then
that's what we
they
did.
pretty much
Yeah.
weren't into it because it
No.
wasn't their own.
I
government
never had
anyways.
100% accountability of any fucking soldier that we were training or any fucking cop. We had cops that would go to jam or would go to ISIL, like when ISIL was was like a myth and whatnot, right? And we had guys that would go to the jam, which what jam would do is they would go into a mahalla, into a village, they'd decapitate someone and then grab the blood from their neck and put a red handprint on a wall. And that's how you knew that was jam property. Like, I remember this shit, bro. Like, and no one said a fucking thing. Like, I remember watching the news and it was like 5 people died in Iraq today. And we used to get mission logs every day before you go on a mission.
Oh yeah.
You get together, you do rock drills, you do mobility drills. Like, you get your gun up, you clean everything, you grease it up, you get chow if you can. If not, you're eating a fucking MRE. But if you got a good driver, wakes up 3 hours early, goes and gets breakfast for everybody, and then that way everybody's happy, right? And dude, I remember doing drills where it was just constantly, if this happens, if this happens, if this happens, if this happens, and then we go to the IP station, and I'm like, Jesus, fuck these people. You couldn't trust anybody. It was fucking terrifying.
Mm.
It was fucking terrifying. But hey, we had to do raids with them. We had to go conduct search warrants with them.
I
It
never
was, it was
served.
folly trying to. We spent 10 years killing them, and then we spent another 10 years trying to be their friend. It doesn't work that way.
I'm a simple man,
I'm
and
just saying.
I,
That's
Yeah.
I don't mean that in like a false, pretentious way.
Yeah.
Like I'm a relatively simple person. I don't have any elaborate schemes in my life. I just work for what I have, and you know, like
What
just
you
try
see
to-
is what you get.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm transparent, but I'm not, and I'm a pretty easy person, and to figure out. Man, I just listen to Ron Paul talk, and it makes a whole lot of sense to me. You know,
I
it
feel
just
you.
makes a whole lot of sense to me. And then I look at Iraq and Afghanistan and the mandates and this and that, and I just go like, man, he's been right on every single thing. You know, we now get the inflation that he's been been warning us about for
Well,
years.
we
you know?
talked about that last time on the podcast,
Yeah.
and we got like a lot of hate emails because of
Yeah.
that.
Really
Oh, I
good.
had
Talk about it
realtors.
some more then.
No, we're gonna fucking talk about
yeah.
it. I had realtors like coming up to me
Mhm.
and being like, "Dude, you know that inflation's not gonna hit the market, the housing market, right?" I'm like, "Explain to me how."
It's transitionary, bro. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
That's what I was saying. And I said-
Exactly.
And I would
Trust
say,
the science.
and here's the thing, I'm not a realtor. I don't pretend to know.
Mm.
But if you explain it to me, like I have this thing where like I've been doing this with my wife when she explains something medical to me, I'm like, explain it to me like I'm a 3-year-old. And I got that from Brian. Because Brian like would be like, why did you do that move? Well, because of this. He's like, explain it to me like I'm 3. He put his foot on my shoulder and it bothered me. So I just bumped it and moved it. He goes, okay, that's why. I would walk up to realtors. Hey, why do you say that? It's transitionary, bro.
Because I've got a 2-week. I took a 2-week course and I have a license now. I'm a professional.
It's just that anybody who went through, at least they used to teach economics in high school. I don't know if they still do, but the only businesses can't create inflation. People can't create inflation.
Okay.
The only place where inflation comes from is government. Government is the only thing because they control how much money is made and how much is not made. And they control the interest rate.
That's what killed me, man.
But if you print too much money, that's inflation.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you print too much of something, value, value too, supply and demand. But it's like
if you keep splitting your stock, you keep splitting and split, you got a bunch more stock, but it's worth less.
Yeah.
No. I mean, yeah.
But it's the same thing. And government's the only one that can create inflation, regardless what you hear on the
But
news.
listen, crypto's gonna save us, okay? Don't you fucking laugh.
I've bought crypto and sold it and just I got bored with it. But man, a lot of people went hard on it, man. And now it's like,
oh yeah.
You think now, like I'm reading this book with my wife. It's called The Beginning of the End of the World.
Oh,
and,
that sounds cheery.
Yeah, it's actually
sounds very biblical.
It's a really good book. And
is it called the Bible?
No. What a spin. That would be such a good talk. Yeah. That would be good. That'd be good. Next time I say that, I'm gonna we've been reading this book. It's called The Beginning of the End of the World. King James Version. Yeah.
The King James Version.
That was good. You just killed my train of thought with that one. That was gold. Just on the money.
That's what we're here for, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's a good book. Fuck, what was the segue on that?
So what? It's the beginning of the end. What is it about?
You and your wife were enjoying it, and you were reading it.
Yeah. Basically, it's just talking about how like civilization peaked, and like now we're on the downside of it at this point. A lot of it has to do with the like so many countries just didn't have kids. And so their populations are going to decrease massively. And so they're not going to have the tax revenue to take care of the old people because there's not enough young people, and their populations are going to decrease. And when your population's growing, it keeps the economy churning because people are buying strollers and baby formula and new vehicles. Older populations don't spend money, so the economy like comes to a screeching halt. Like
they just buy
a
groceries.
7-year-old has been wearing the same shoes for 4 years. They're not moving around that much. They're not wearing the soles out on their shoes.
I feel insulted now, Roli.
So what's that?
I feel insulted. I've had the same hoodie forever.
No, I mean, that's great to not be materialistic, but in general, younger people drive the economy, not older people. And so when you have an aging population, and after World War II, I forget the name of the of the program, but basically the U.S. Navy, and we were the only Navy left after World War II. We basically ensured safe commerce between all the countries. And
we did a convoy. We escorted a lot.
So now all these small countries no longer had to worry about fighting with each other to steal each other's goods and feud with. That was not allowed. And all of these economies then were able to just focus on becoming very industrious. And so then like we just from the end of World War II till more or less now, a couple of years ago, we have created like, China's prosperity like went through the roof. They weren't starving. All the agricultural countries that were just subsisting were able to start to thrive. Well, so what happened was, and the country that's the worst off is China because they did it in one single generation. They went from the fields to factories in one generation. Yeah. And so this is coming from the book. I'm just talking about the book.
No, we're talking about the book.
Yeah, I'm not pretending to be an expert here.
Yeah, no, that's why we're listening.
Yeah, I'm just so someone's watching. It's like
somebody watching. If you got an opinion,
I don't know. I'm just reading a book. I'm not.
It's the book.
But
if you got an opinion, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's really good. And so in one generation, China went from the fields to factories. What do people do what do people not do in factory work in the city? They don't have kids.
Yeah.
Right. You got both people working. You live in a condo or an apartment, right?
Yeah.
Like you moved away from your family. Grandma's not there.
Yep.
So if you have a kid, what, you got to pay for daycare. Like, so people stop having kids. So they're projecting, and nobody knows because nobody trusts the data that comes out of China. But between 2040 and 2050, China's population will be half of what it is now. Half. They've got it the worse off.
Well, you see Japan, what's been happening in Japan, right?
No.
Keep talking.
Yeah. So
China for a little while, they only had that one child.
Well, they
rule.
also had that too. Yeah, they
So,
did
but that
away
didn't
with
help
that,
them
but
out at
that
all.
that did not help them. So their
Because-
population cuts in half. Who's going to support the aging population? They're not going to have the tax base. They're not going to have the economy. Furthermore, they don't have people lined up wanting to move to China. So it's not like they can just,
Yeah, you don't
it's
have
not like
immigration.
America where you like literally like you can come here and like you're buying a house within like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like there's so much work here.
Well, the only person, well, not the only person, but the one I remember is Elon Musk was the only one saying, we need more people.
Well, if you want to sustain,
Everybody was talking about, hey,
Here you
we
go.
need to decrease population, and Elon Musk is going like, no, we need more people.
declining birth rates, yeah. This is happening everywhere.
hard.
There's only like 4 or 5 countries that aren't in a bad spot. I
Yeah.
think Norway was one.
Puerto Rico.
France was one.
Puerto
Puerto
Rico.
Rico.
America's not is okay.
America is not
because,
one, no.
because we have suburbs. We still have space.
Mhm.
Listen,
So-
Puerto Rico, there's 3.2 million people in a spot of land that's 100 by 32, bro. Everybody's fucking in Puerto Rico. There's nothing else to do.
Nothing else to do. Yeah.
You swim, drink rum, and fuck. That's it.
Yeah. And if you have a car with an AC in it, bro,
oh, you're fucking a lot
you're getting
more.
pussy, bro.
Yeah.
You get mad, but there's no
Yeah.
central AC in houses, bro. There isn't.
There isn't.
You can't. It'll just
Only in
Unpopular opinion. Central AC is so overrated. Dude, window units are great. They just look trashy.
oh god, you're
Dude,
killing
window
me right
units
now.
blow
No,
cold
No.
air,
they
man.
blow cold.
They will
no.
freeze you out of a room. And so like you've got like poor people feeling like they've got to get this $7,000 setup. And
fun.
it's like,
Huh.
you know,
Yeah.
like I've been to Brazil, you know what I mean? I've been to Europe.
Yeah,
and like
no,
in
I
Brazil,
feel
it's hot. And like they got an air conditioner in the room they sleep in. They might have one in the living room. They don't run it all day.
Yeah,
You know, it's like, so you can get a window unit for $250,
But-
right? A good
but
one, like an
central-
8,000
but
BTU.
Central,
But it's central.
AC,
Yeah, it's
but
more
central.
efficient. If you want to cool the whole house,
I know.
like that's such an American thing.
It is.
Central.
Dude,
Well,
100
in
dude, I'm
Puerto Rico,
spoiled.
everything was made
It's
out
like-
of
it's like you're-
concrete, so you
That's
don't
true.
need
That's
air
right. You have the
conditioning.
thermal
other thing.
barrier. It's just funny, like central heat and air, so you can cool the rooms where the doors are always shut. You know, the guest rooms that nobody ever sleeps in. Anyways, central air is fine. I'm just saying, like
Yeah,
it was the product of what we just got through, which is the richest time in the history. And this book is basically saying, like, we peaked as a civilization,
Mhm.
and it's going down, and it's going to be really bad in places like Brazil. It's going to be really bad, and not that it's great in Brazil now. China's super screwed. All these countries, there's a lot of countries
Man.
that they don't naturally produce things they need. And the only way they can get them is because they export some textile or something.
Yeah.
But like when
There you
they're
go.
unable to do that, or the market demand has dropped because
Mhm.
there's less people, like they're not going to be able to get the things they need to sustain. Where in America, we have an ocean on both sides. We have our own natural gas. We have our own oil.
Yep.
Like we're on the best continent, and we also don't have as severe of a birth rate issue. So
That's
as
true.
bad as things are going to be in America, we're still going to be the best place that we can be.
Here it is right
Yeah.
here. What is, according to Google, why is the birth rate in Japan constantly decreasing? The birth rate is down, and even the rate of couples or marriages is down. The sole reason is the economic insecurity. This is the major reason why Japan population is decreasing day after day. Although the unemployment rate in Japan is quite low, everyone seems to be working a job and earning some kind of income. Dude, people are working. I remember, dude, I have a friend who went to Japan, and he was a darker skinned fellow. He was Hispanic. And he was like, dude, he landed and he had like within like 2 hours, he was having a 3-way with 2 chicks. Cause they were like, do you want to fuck? And I was like, bro, shut the fuck up. And you know how it is for the boys, FTBs. He showed us a picture and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? He goes, bro, you just get out and the chick will see you at a restaurant. She's like, hi, my name is so-and-so. What's your name? And within 10 minutes, they're like, would you like to fuck? And I'm like, what? Like, and I've had numerous friends of mine tell me that.
Well, I can promise you one thing. My
No wonder
wife
you wanna
is
move
not
to
sending
Japan.
me to Japan. Not that I would do anything, but she's not taking any chances. I can
Yeah.
promise you that.
There's
Rolly.
a tournament in Japan, honey.
Yeah, real estate I gotta look at. No.
Roli Delgado versus Sakuraba in
Yeah.
Japan. Rolly's like, I'm not taking that. Like,
Nope.
no, $500,000.
Not
I'm
doing
looking,
it.
I'm booking a ticket for my wife. She's come with me. I'm looking for stability at 40.
Well, actually, a lot of islands are like that. If you go to any part of the Caribbean, they're like sex.
That's where you're. Well, yeah, because
Especially, I was in Aruba and it was mostly tourists, and that's all they were there for. So,
The tourist work.
yeah, well,
bro, what else
the
is there
people that
to
actually
do?
lived there lived in on the other side of the island, and they were literally 10 shacks. Not going over to somebody's 10 shack to have sex. So
Jesus.
I'll go to somebody's hotel room though. I mean,
You probably
were
had
going
your
to
own
the
hotel room.
I did have my own hotel room. So
Bro, that's the thing in the military, by the way. I used to do that. We've talked about this on the show before.
What?
You're like so busy all the time that whenever you're like on port or you're on a 4-day, you'll go get a hotel for 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Just by yourself.
Just to
that-
decompress.
Dude,
yeah,
have-
and,
you
and
don't have
if you
to
can
worry
have
about-
and if you can have somebody decompress with, it's even better. So, but it just seems like the islands are like that. If you're on an island,
Oh, yeah.
everybody's more apt to be friendlier.
I hear
Yeah.
you.
That's why Puerto Ricans would make horrible terrorists.
My
Yeah, 'cause it's
my
like,
gym,
hey,
the
you
gym
need to-
manager's Puerto Rican.
Is he really?
She, yeah,
Oh,
no,
what
no,
part?
I know.
the
The-
island part.
yeah, the part that gets rained on a lot.
That's so fun.
I don't fucking have an idea. She's awesome though. She's super cool. She's like super Puerto Rican too, like all attitude.
Does
Like
she- does she
like
wear-
grew up in
Does
she's my mom's friend. That's how I found her.
Okay.
Yeah. So she used to work at a school with my mom, and dude, she had like personality like out the gate. And then like when I was looking for a new person, I was like trying to think of somebody, and I called my mom. I was like, hey, you know, what's up with that Noemi girl? And then she's working out great. She's awesome. So,
Nice.
but like she like grew up in New York and moved down here, so she's like Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
You know, like you're like extra Puerto Rican if you grow up in New York and you're Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Extra Puerto
She's
Rican.
from. She's
That's like
she's
the
born in
X-Men
Puerto
of the Puerto Rican. You know why?
what?
Because they're resistant to cold.
There you go.
Bro, you see me with a hoodie 24/7,
Mhm.
unless it's above 80. If it's above 80, I'm in a shirt. But bro, the less of the time, bro, I'm in a hoodie. The cold fucks me up. Like royally fucks me up, bro.
That's his only weakness.
It's my kryptonite.
Cold,
Dude, how was the drive?
peaceful.
Yeah.
Took it to. Let me see you later. I need to relight this.
yeah, there you go.
Thanks.
Everything.
There you go.
So I didn't know I was gonna come up tonight until today, and well, last night I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna do it. And then I woke up this morning and it was like, just kind of doing my routine in the morning with my wife, and it's like, well, I think I'm gonna go to Northwest Arkansas, pop in and see one of our affiliates, not one of my affiliates, but one of the other GF team schools there
Mhm.
that I hadn't seen yet, and so kind of surprised that guy. Went in there and did
Because
class.
you're a black belt. For the people that don't know, you're a black belt under. Can you explain that? Because
Yeah, I'm a black belt with under Denelson Pimenta. He's my coach. And one of his pupils, his name was Italo Lenz, who is in Bentonville, Arkansas. And he actually I taught him this one kind of quirky ankle lock. And he's hit it a whole bunch. And so we call it the Lenz lock. And so he's got a school in Bentonville. And so with his wife Tamiris, who's also a world champion. And so I got to go up there and train with him and get my butt kicked a little bit, but just go see him, and see the gym, see Arkansas's jiu-jitsu community is kind of blowing up. So it was kind of nice. I'm just so busy all the time. And I booked this seminar and I thought, well, again, my wife didn't want me to drive up and back in the same day. So
maybe she didn't come with you.
man, she's in med school, dude. She's a
Oh,
slave.
still?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
She's 4th year now. So
Oh,
right.
yeah, residency next year. And
congrats to her, man.
yeah, she's killing it, man. I'm super proud of her. So yeah, man, just out here doing it, So I don't know if I told you, we're gonna try to have a kid next year.
What?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man. I
My
want to have
man.
2 more,
You don't have 2 more?
but we'll start with 1 and just kind of go from there. But that's big news. I got to get my
Good.
Yeah, you need
vasectomy
to. Don't,
reversed.
you need.
You
I
gotta
had
get it
sec-
reversed?
Yeah, I had it 10 years. I've had it 10 years. I'm gonna
Be
try to
careful.
schedule it.
Be careful. We've had guys on the show that have had serious complications
Reversing
after
it.
they get it reversed. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
explain, yeah.
serious.
Like what?
Psychologically, because they get like they tell you like, hey, it's like a 35 or whatever % chance for you to have a kid again. So they'll start taking horny goat weed, Tungali, they'll take all this other shit, and they don't have a kids. Like we have a friend that it took him years to have a kid.
Yeah, they start pointing at everybody. It's like it's horrible.
Yeah, they'll get frustrated, you know, because
Yeah.
they really want to. So it's just then there's
So
the
it's the mental
complications.
side of it.
The mental side, then
Yeah.
there's like complications where
You might not have any complications.
you might not have anything. You're pretty holistic. The people that we
Yeah.
talk to, they don't really take care of themselves.
Yeah, I'm pretty healthy and fit, and I'm gonna take the time off because when I had my vasectomy, I was out running around and I had a huge hematoma.
Oh, you too?
Dude, it was
Dude, you too? Yeah. I
Big
was
mistake.
fucking after like 4 days.
well, I made some mistakes and
That's not a
I paid for
hematoma.
it.
That's
No, it's
that's a child.
No, no, it's swole up because I was like, they're like, hey, you can't move for 2 days.
Yeah.
It can open. So I was like, okay. So I waited like 4 days, and then I was like back in the gym, and fucking I was having sex, and sure as fuck, bro. Like I woke up one morning and
And
it
this-
was
The-
like,
Yeah, the
I
baby.
don't think it was the sex thing. I was doing that too, but I just didn't take a weekend off because I wasn't hurting. I didn't realize it was. I
It's
didn't
more-
realize it was more than
yeah,
that because I'm an
yeah,
idiot.
yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
you
I
have
am
to
too.
teach people like me when you say, don't open the guard with your elbow. Well, I like hurting people and I'll put my elbow on their thigh. But if you say, don't open your guard with your elbow because they're just going to push your hand and triangle you. Oh, so I won't, I
Yeah.
won't do it, but I
there
need
has
to
to be a
know,
consequence.
I need to know why. And that's
Yeah.
why I hate the government so much because they have rules that I can't explain why. You know? But if it makes sense, I'll
That's the-
follow the rule.
That's the only reason I hate the government. That one thing.
Tommy.
Like seriously,
I hate the
like
government. That's a good way because we were talking to we have a white belt that's an entomologist. She's super cool.
she's an
Yeah.
entomologist.
She's an entomologist. Yeah,
Yeah.
we just had her. Entomologist.
Bug-
Insects.
Bugs.
Okay, good, because that was my next question.
Yeah.
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 Insects.
I was like, is that an ENT doc? Like,
And she's one of our white belts, and she you know how it is when you're about to get your blue belt, like it's like, hey, start like putting pressure on people. You
Yeah.
have to understand how to stay connected and don't do dumb mistakes. You know, if an upper belt says, hey, don't do that because I'll throw you, they're probably trying to teach you because you've done the mistake a million times. So she told on the show that she was like, yeah, so Richard judo threw me 4 times. And I was
Yeah.
like, you make that sound like I'm just this asshole that walks up to me like, and
Is she
I
wrong?
go, but why? And she goes, oh, because I took your back. I go, no, not because you took my back, because you didn't
Oops.
throw me properly. So I was just like, oh, you're just gonna leave it open. And dude, by God, she won the AGF this weekend by rear naked choke.
Oh yeah.
She fucking,
Yeah.
she's like, I did exactly what you said. I just put pressure on them, and then they try to run away and expose the neck, and I took the fuck out of them. And I was like, there it is, right
There it
there. This is all you needed to do.
So what we're talking about, people doing jiu-jitsu, I'm gonna take this opportunity to brag on my wife. So my wife's in med school and she's a blue belt, and she hasn't been able to train because of med school. And so I registered for Masters Worlds, and you know, we're hoping to try to have a kid next year. So
Mhm.
she's like, well, like fuck it, like, because I was like, hey, if you want to go, like just go, you know. And she's like, well, if I, like I'll just go compete because I don't know if it'll be a long time before I get an opportunity to
Yeah.
do something like that again.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay. I was like, well, we got 7 weeks. I was like, you
Let's
need
go.
like, yeah, like cut, like you should go down to this weight. It's going to be hard, but like you haven't been training, so we need every advantage that we can get.
Mhm.
So she went on a strict diet and had a great 7-week camp. I was getting her private lessons with one of our black belts. I was giving her a lot of attention,
Mhm.
which was cool because we met doing jujitsu, and then like we never talked about jujitsu
You were
for
giving
like
her a
3
shit
years.
ton of attention. I
Well,
heard.
yeah, we just like it was like it was yeah. It was just like the old times, you know, like we were like,
pass your guards.
you're
Like,
like, good guard. Yeah. Yeah.
You motherfucker, I'm so proud of you.
Exactly.
He doesn't train, but like one time
He's
I
starting
said,
to put it together.
no, this was a long time ago. I said, yeah, man, we we're talking about jujitsu because we do like a recap and whatnot.
yeah.
And we were talking about jujitsu, and I said, man, my wife has like the hardest guard to pass. He goes, I didn't know she trained. And I fucking lost it. I fucking lost it. So you've been training a lot with her and whatnot?
Dude, we hit it hard, man. Put up a good game plan, play to her attributes, you know, and so and we had it's a cool trip. Masters Worlds is a great trip because there's just thousands and thousands of competitors. You take a guy like me, I'm Master 3, so 40 to 45,
Mhm.
lightweight. There's over 50 people in the bracket.
Jesus,
Right? In that narrow field of
Masters is
Yeah.
getting wild.
it's
This
wild.
Where is that
Kyle
at?
Taylor's
in
a
Vegas.
master. It's in
Oh, it's in Vegas.
Yeah.
We'll,
Oh,
we'll
okay.
go 1 year. We'll go
so,
1 year.
so I'm like
Dude,
Masters 3.
can you tell him how it was Vegas? Because he I was in here watching working. He doesn't know
Oh, it's
idea.
just, I mean, it's all the legends are there. Ex people that used to fight in the UFC, like myself, but like people way better than I was out there, like competing, like still getting it on. And it's a great tournament. So I hit it up with my wife and we're training hard. She's dieting. She's like, at one point, she thinks she's got to move up a weight because she's like stuck, not able to, she had to go like almost full keto. And then that's what took her down the last couple pounds.
Mhm.
But we get there, man. And we talk a lot, you know, and about life and about like introspective stuff. And we're talking about nerves. We're talking about like where nerves come from, and most of it's the social pressures that we put on ourselves and these
Mhm.
narratives we build. And I've got a ton of experience competing, you know, and competing in jiu-jitsu is really easy coming from MMA because
Okay.
the
Yeah.
stakes are just not the same. And
Yeah.
so, and if you lose a jiu-jitsu match, you can always just do another tournament next week and get that taste out of your mouth. Normally, you have to wait like 6 months to do another fight. You
Yeah.
wear a loss for a long time. The loss stays on your record, blah, blah, blah. You get punched in the teeth. A lot of bad things happen in MMA. So we were talking about it, and we were just talking about, hey, like we're coming for the fight, you know, like we like to train hard. It's a 5-minute match, and the result's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Someone's better than us, and then they beat us. Then that's what happened. But like 100%, like I'm going to play my game, and I'm going to go out there, and I'm there to fight. Like I'm signing up for the fight.
Yeah.
If I knew I was going to win, I wouldn't fly to Vegas and do it. Right. So we go through all this stuff. We get there. I went the day before her. I won my first 2 matches, and both matches by submission. I lost my third match. So I didn't medal. I was 1 match away from medal, and so I didn't medal.
Okay.
And then the next day she goes, she has her first match and she does really well. And the girl does really well as well. That's probably her toughest match was her first match.
Yeah.
And she wins, but it's a scrap. And she tears her LCL in the first match.
Oh.
So she has a grade 2 tear. We don't know what it is at the time, but like she's telling me about it. But like when you injure your LCL specifically, and I don't know about other ligaments, but I've injured both my LCLs.
Yeah.
You're good that day.
Yeah.
Once you cool down, it starts to stiffen up. The next day, it's a wreck. But like you can keep going. So she wins her first match, tough match. Second match, she gets this tall Brazilian girl who's working the event, you know, and the girl's just closing the guard, really trying to play like a very like stally kind of game, trying to cheat the match.
Yep.
And man, like my wife, she plays it smart. She's super patient. You know, she doesn't reward the girl by being too aggressive to open. Elbows in, walking the knees back. Finally, they get into a scramble. They get up. My wife gets double underhooks and does this. It's like a backwards Toshi and takes her down. It's what Bryce Mitchell and TJ Brown do in the gym. Wrestles her down into side control, wins the match. I'm like, yes, I'm so happy, you know. And so now she's like 1 match away from medaling. And before the tournament, she goes, well, like she's excited about competing because she hasn't gotten to do it, and she's committed to it, and she's working out, she's getting in shape. And she's like, well, it's not like I can medal because, you know, I've been in med school. These people do it every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't know shit.
Yeah.
That's why I
you
told
don't
her,
know.
you know, you don't know shit. And I said the same thing, and I medaled my first year at Worlds, and I literally said the same thing to myself, like, I don't have a chance of getting on the podium.
Yeah.
And I told her that, and I said, look, you're tough, you're in shape, you're strong, and you can wrestle a little bit, like,
Mhm.
because we wrestle. So like, she can wrestle, and a lot of girls only pull guard. They don't really wrestle. So I was like, you can
Okay.
wrestle, you got the hustle,
Mhm.
you're strong, they're 5-minute matches. Like, you don't know shit. Anyways, so now we're like a match away, and I'm just so excited. The first match she wins, I'm like, okay, thank God. She
Yeah.
doesn't go in and lose it. Like, no matter what happens now, she showed up, she won a match, she loses her next match. We had a great journey.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did the camp, right?
Mhm.
She wins the second match. I'm like, all right,
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
like, you won too,
Yeah.
That's normally
So feeling good. I'm sitting there. But after every match, we go to the bullpen. I'm talking to her like, "Hey, you're doing great." And she's like, "Yeah, like my knee feels kind of wonky, but I feel okay." She's a fucking trooper.
Mhm.
I'm like looking at this girl like I fucking love this girl. And so I go back there and I'm sitting where the coaches get to sit, and I see the girls already on the mat,
Mhm.
waiting on my wife to get there, and man, this girl, man, she's a beautiful girl. She's tall, and she looks very confident, very poised. And she's just kind of like stretching. Her chest goes down to her thighs. I'm like, God, this girl looks like a monster. Yeah, I just get that
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
I also know,
Oh, damn it.
I also know that doesn't mean anything, but it also something you still take cues.
Yeah.
I've been in the game a long time. I've seen dorky people beat up athletic people. Like, you can't count nobody out. You can't give anybody credit. But I'm looking at this girl, and I'm like, this girl's bad.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can tell. And it's the third round of the bracket. So this
Yeah.
girl's obviously like not
She made it there.
deterred,
Yeah. She
right?
made it there. Yeah.
The
She ain't
match
fucking
starts,
around.
the girl pulls. My wife's doing good. Boom, girl hits a berimbolo.
Oh fuck!
Boom, right to side control, right? My wife scrambles, defends. My wife's in side control, 2 points. Not 5, 2, because there's no guard. So she
Okay.
swept the side control. So she never passed my wife's guard. And the girls kind of just hold my wife for like 2 minutes, stalling, typical at Masters Worlds. And I'm like, fudge, I actually said fuck. So I'm like, man, like, I really thought like, well, this is it, like, she
Mhm.
almost podiumed on her first, she almost did it, there's like a minute left, and I'm just like, God, like, but I'm happy and I'm sad, like, it
Yeah.
was a good trip. She got a couple wins. The girl's hips get up a little bit. My wife bridges her over. There's a scramble. Girl comes up a little high. My wife single legs her down, 2-2, guard pass, 5-2,
points,
match is over. Oh my God. My wife's on the
fuck
now she's in the fucking podium, and it was just such an amazing experience, man. And so she ended up losing her fourth match fair and square. I do think that if her knee was fresh, she could beat the girl in the fourth match. She
Just a
didn't.
knee.
And the girl
Yeah.
beat her 5-0. So good on that girl.
Yeah.
Congrats to her. And that girl went on and lost in the finals and got a silver. My wife gets a bronze. But man, my wife went 3-1 on her second IBJJF tournament.
Fuck.
And she was 0-1 in her first one.
Mhm.
And she ended up getting a medal at the Worlds, man. And I was just so
That's
proud of
good.
her.
That's good.
But why am I proud of her, right? Is she a phenom? Nope. She's a workhorse,
Yeah.
And the most impressive thing was I competed the day before. I still get nervous for tournaments, and I process it normally by going cyborg. I just accept it, but it doesn't matter because I'm not going to not compete. And then I just
Yeah.
kind of shut it out. I compete kind of tense. It works for me. I just go do my thing, but it's not the optimal place to be. The optimal place to be is to be in a flow state, confident, but you're not looking at anything. You're seeing everything. To be at a flow state
Mhm.
on a scale of 1 to 100, nerves, 100 being the worst, 1 being the least. I was a 0. I was at my best. I won 2 matches, lost 1. It is what it is.
Nice.
But I was at my best. I was
Nice.
confident. I was calm, and I just knew I was there to fight. And I did my best work, right? I did the best that I could do.
You like lock 'em?
Right? The first 2 guys. Yeah.
First two guys.
Okay.
So my wife doesn't have all this competition experience. Her nerves were a 0. She was 100% calm. We talked about it before the match. We talked about it afterwards. And she's not lying. She's not fronting. We're super
Yeah.
transparent. because of all the conversations that we had about, and we logically
Yeah.
Mhm.
sorted out how those nerves are just a narrative you build in your mind. They're not real,
Yeah.
and they don't help you. They rob you of enjoying the experience.
Yeah.
For me, I would always get nervous. Always. But I would just accept that it's part of the process. And it's like, well, it's like, I used to compare the level of nerves, even though they're not comparable. But it's like, oh, I've been to Iraq. I've been on missions. Like I've been outside the wire. I've caught terrorists. I've kicked down doors. Like I'm good. I'm good. And then the nerves were still there, like 100%. But it was like, okay, I just have to manage this. We just have to stroll through it. But dude, I've seen people that me in the beginning, it happened. Like in the beginning, I remember the first tournament I did was a Fuji, and I won via armbar. And I was like, I just could not fucking believe it. I was like, what the fuck? And I won a ton of tournaments as a white belt. And then blue belt came by.
That was
Well, that happens with everything, really. I mean, you're getting ready for something. Anything.
Blue belts are tough. I mean, I'm a purple belt, but for me, purple belt, you good there, Roli?
I'm sorting it out, brother.
It's starting to- No, I'm
Something
just
I
saying,
can't
if
handle.
Next time we need to bring a cutter.
Come on, get your shit together.
ice pick,
Get your-
I didn't need a damn ice pick. What the hell's the matter with you?
Give that man a drink.
Hey, does anyone own an ice pick?
I do.
No,
have
I
some
don't
You
somewhere.
own one? You own an ice pick?
Well, my wife. It's not mine. Like it's like, yeah, it's
But
like
it's
a
an
old
actual
school.
ice
It's in the
pick.
bed.
Yeah, like the no.
I've never owned I'm 40 years old. I've never owned an ice pick.
Really?
Well, it
I've
seems like a
actually-
very like it seems like there's a million things you could use as an ice pick. So
That's true.
why would you like? I'm a utilitarian. Like I'm not gonna get an ice pick when I have a flathead screwdriver.
That's true.
Jesus fuck, Roli.
I mean,
I don't have any tools in my house, so yeah,
Well, that's a problem.
that's 100%.
Well, you
Dude, I had
always
to
use
sell
an
tools
awl.
to pay
An
for.
aw's an aw's an actual ice pick.
A what?
An aw.
Oh, a what?
It's an aw.
What is that?
Yeah, I'm.
It looks like an ice pick.
How do you wait? Hold on. Spell this for me.
AWL.
You know what?
It's an aw.
You know what
It's-
would make
you use it to maybe you stick it in there and
fucking
line
gosh,
up.
Yes, it is.
some
an
hole.
awl.
I told you,
Oh yeah,
It looks like an
yeah,
ice
Yeah,
pick.
yeah. It's a tool. What's it
it's
for?
a tool. Well, if you want, you use it. Use
Masonry.
line up. Like if you're putting in a door or something, you need to line up the holes,
Yeah.
and you
Masonry.
Put it through the hole.
put it through the hole. You get it lined up, and that way you can put the other screw in. Because
I see.
yeah,
You
That
can
makes
use it as a
sense.
breaching tool.
It's a what?
As a breaching tool. Just put it on the lock. Hit it like this.
oh
is,
yeah,
this
that
is
would
like
work.
a getaway,
Yeah.
right? Normally you would rather lock pick a door, and this is not advice. This is not advice. I want to make this
No.
very clear. I
We don't
would
know if
rather-
this works or not. There's-
Yeah, 100%. This is all made up. We don't know if this works. But you would rather lock pick the door, but if you can't, one of the things was you use a hooligan tool, which has a part that's if you have like a really nice hooligan tool, you can like twist it and has a part that's like the awl, and you just have somebody hold it and you hit it with the hammer to break the lock, kick the door, and you go in. Unless it has a 2 safety, then you're kind of fucked. You can't kick the door. You have to do a secondary entry.
Busting doors in on people.
What's a slide hammer?
Who, me?
That's
I
slide-
know
that's
a little
slide
bit.
hammer is what that is.
I know you did.
The thing is with the hammer is that it's not sharp, so it won't punch through the locking mechanism. So a lot of times at that point, instead of doing that, you could do ballistic. You would do a ballistic breach.
Okay.
But remember one thing, that silence. Once silence is broken,
Yeah.
the
Everything-
rules change.
yeah.
You know, that's why I'd rather lock pick a door. Which in Iraq you
Well,
don't
definitely.
really have to do that.
Well, yeah, they don't think they have doors there or
They
windows.
fucking do, bro. I don't. It was like wild to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember if I saw a house that had like a nice gate, I was like 100%. That's a bomb making house. Like 100%.
I think about some of that stuff, and I'm like, man, like imagine being in America and like American troops or foreign troops are there, and they're like commandeering your house, and they're
Yeah.
like, yo, like sorry, like you have like find somewhere to stay. We're gonna be here a while. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the reality of this experience of life
Mhm.
for so many people is just so different than what we have here in America,
yeah.
man. And it just like it just
But
blows
there's
my
nice
mind.
there's nice moments, because I'll tell you what, we had I'll share the story and I'll show the picture. We had a
You
Mahala
got the
that,
picture up there?
yeah, I'm gonna pull that picture up because
Okay.
Rolly's never seen it. It's on my Facebook. We had a Mahala that was called Amaria.
Mahal is a
And
village.
Mahala is basically like a community, right? Like the
Or
villages.
sort of a village. Yeah.
Like you have to have entry points to go through each Mahala. This was when I was there. That's how we actually caught a 16-year-old kid who assassinated 2 of our APs.
Oh my
Shot him in
gosh.
the head with a silencer and shit.
well,
Assassination
he did
style,
he did a
bro.
lot more than
Yeah,
just
he did a
2.
lot more than that. We're not gonna go into that, but that
Yeah.
kid spoke multiple languages too. Like that
Mhm.
kid it was wild, and he was a teenager. Wasn't even an adult yet.
He was scary smart is a
Yeah.
problem.
He was scary smart. And we caught him on a checkpoint because his checkpoint, the color didn't match the area. And somebody caught that. So we we went to this Mahala one day and we were doing what's called hearts and minds operations. It's basically where you go and you try to like, hey, like we want to help you. Tell me who's a terrorist here. We'll give you some money. We'll get rid of him. And that was a very common practice for us, you know. And I remember one time we went to this village and no one would talk to us. Fucking no one, bro. No amount of Gatorade would fucking make these people talk to us.
Be surprised
it-
what's valuable over there.
Yeah. You'd be surprised what a bottle of Gatorade will get you. You'll get fucking information for a case of Gatorades, bro. I'll get fucking information. It's wild.
Hmm.
It is wild. Clean water, bro. I'll get a lot of information. And there was this
So
dude
it's
that
not,
he was
it's
like,
not
hey,
actual money when he
he's
says
like,
money.
yeah,
it's
no.
not actual money.
He's like, hey, that house, my friend, that house. And I was like, okay. So we walk by the house and there's a red handprint. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
see why they're not talking to us. So we call the infantry, and the infantry has UAV. They check the house. We hit
Mhm.
the house late at night. Sure as hell. Caught 4 guys in there, bomb making materials, a
Yeah.
bunch of other shit. And the next day, the whole village comes out to greet us. And this is where this picture was taken.
Is that you?
That's me.
Yeah.
It's my 249 with a collapsible stock.
You
It's
were
hard to
skinny.
tell. He was skinny, but he also has the helmet and the glasses makes it harder to tell it's him. But
Yeah.
you see his name tag,
That was me.
Yeah.
Full battle rattler and
which is
everything.
weird because it doesn't have your name on there twice.
There's a reason for that.
I'm sure there is. I just like giving you shit about
There's a reason for that. That was me.
Wow.
God, look at that. Ugh. Yeah. The amount of dirt on that, bro.
it.
But
You
yeah,
have
man,
no
that was
idea.
me fresh in Iraq.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think about that time period because I was just starting my gym, and I feel so fortunate that I didn't have to do the military for the GI Bill, because I mean that's what the age I had my kid, you know, and it's like that. Like so many things would have been postponed or not have happened.
Well, it's weird
during
because
this pivotal time.
you got out in 2010, right?
I got out in 2013.
2013,
2013.
Yeah.
I went,
which
man.
is weird 'cause I retired in 2009.
Yeah.
How many
I
years
went
did you do?
in.
20.
Yeah. Eric was not smart.
No, he's smart because he got out of 20. So I guys get sucked in for the extra couple and pulling that
Dude,
pension, boy. Living out there eating squirrels.
Well,
Living the dream.
It was weird because it wasn't weird because I didn't ask to stay longer and they didn't ask me to stay longer. So it was a mutual.
It's like that
Mutually
roommate
agreed
that's
that
like,
we're
hey, I'm moving out. And you're like, well, good for you.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's great.
I'm
I'm
happy
happy
for
for
you.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's been 20 years.
Mm.
Jesus.
It seems like yesterday. It seems like yesterday. Oh my
I got to
God.
keep paying you. No,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
sure.
yeah. You sure do.
Free medical? Yeah.
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 Sort
And I'll
of.
tell you what, dude, as well.
Sort of.
Free if you can get in there.
No.
Springfield's been
Springfield's been really good.
Springfield, for the people that don't know, bro, Springfield, like if I make a phone call, listen, I told the story in the podcast. I'm supposed to be wearing glasses all the time, right? I
Yeah.
let a stray cat in. I haven't told you this.
No, that's a good story, though.
Our cat, god damn it. You tell it. You fucking tell. So we have a cat named Gus.
They
He's
had
20 years old.
He's
Yeah.
20.
He's 20. I'll show him to you. I'll show him
Yeah.
to you later when we go to the house. So he
your
goes.
kid goes like there's
There's
Gus.
Gus. My kid feeds the cat. It looks just like the cat. Okay. My kid backs me up because my wife is like, I haven't seen Gus in
Mhm.
2 days. And I go, no, we saw him today. We fed him.
Mhm.
And my kid goes, I fed Gus. She's like, you gave Gus food? Yeah, I give Gus food this morning. Obviously, you can't count on the word of a 3-year-old. I'm obviously just being like, dude, I know I fed a cat. Like, what the fuck? And the cat left and everything, right? The next day, my wife is like, oh my God, I haven't seen the cat, yada, yada, this and that. I go, you know what? Fuck it. I'll post something on YouTube and see if we can get somebody to just, see if something happened.
Mhm.
So, bro, 20 minutes, 20 fucking minutes. Someone goes, oh my God, I found your cat. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And they show me a picture of him sitting in a cage like this. And they're like 3 days ago, we found this poor cat. Bro, they found him 2 blocks from my house. And the place that found him is 4 blocks from my house. So my wife goes, I knew you didn't let a cat in. You lied to me. I'm like, dude, no, we let a cat. She goes, there's no fucking cat in the neighborhood that looks like you're getting glasses. I call VA. And I was like, hey, yeah, I need an eye appointment. And they go, oh, perfect. We have one this Friday. I was like, fuck, bitch. The one time that I need you to be a piece of shit and not have a fucking appointment for 6 months. You motherfuckers have an appointment in a week.
The same week.
Bro, the same- So we go. My wife takes the day off and I get there. And normally, like, the doctors know me there because I've been going to that VA center for like 6-7 years.
Mhm.
So it's like, I go, hey, Mr. I'm like, hey, I say hi to everybody, man. I try to be polite. And I walk to the eye doctor and I don't know her. And I go, hey, doc, so I'm not going to be here long, right? She goes, whew, we haven't seen you since you got out of the army in 2013. I was like, so I'm good, right? She's like, oh, no, you're not.
No.
Bro, they dilated my eyes. I was there for like 4 hours.
Oof.
And I was so mad. And she goes, yeah, you have some stigmatism and your eyes like travel too much. She's like, it's because they can't relax. So you're going to need to wear glasses from now on. You just have to, and you have a sensitivity to light. So we're going to get you some tint. And I was like, whatever. I put them on and I go play Xbox. My first game, I get 8 kills.
Yeah.
I was like, well, the Chinese kids aren't on. Maybe I'm having a good day. Every game from there, I had 6 to 10 kills. I was like, man, fuck this. I'm not blind. Bro, no, I'm blind as fuck. I'm blind as fuck. Like, I don't know what it is. It's the weirdest thing. But dude, VA hospital here, never had an issue. If I need a medication refilled, or if it's like an urgency, like it's like an important med or something,
Mhm.
I'll call. I'll talk to the doctor over the phone. Hey, I just need this. All right, how are you feeling? Yada, yada. They'll look at my record. Hey, we'll give you a refill. Come pick it up in 24 hours.
They're good. They're really good about that.
Dude, they're so good here. Like, it's like never had an issue. I've called shit. The longest I've had to wait was 3 weeks. Is the longest I had to wait. 3 weeks is the longest I have to wait.
And my mom's had good experiences with the VA as well. So I
But
just hear the
that's
horror
that's the
stories.
VA
And
here.
my wife hasn't been impressed with the work she's done in the VA as a med student, like so. But you hear
Well-
all the things, but my mother's had good experiences with the VA.
The problem
The
is
actual
that
VA, and whenever you need something, because apparently, I don't know if you know this or not, but my right ear is not service related. My left one is
It's not what
service related.
he's getting
Oh.
his disability paperwork together.
Yeah.
And they told him that his right ear is service connected for tinnitus, but not his left ear because it never served. But this
It
is
still
not a
has
joke.
tendonitis. Both
Bro.
ears have tendonitis. However,
Bro, when he told me this, I was like, you're lying. Shut the fuck up. And he shows me the paperwork. Bro, I was like, so what happened? Did you like take your ear off, leave it in Missouri or something? Like, what happened?
I kept it under my pillow.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. That's the wild shit. Like when you're trying to get like your rating, your compensation and stuff like that. Because a lot of guys will, okay, that's a douchebag right there. All right then. A lot of guys like they won't even want to bother with their VA stuff. Like I know guys who are Purple Heart recipients that are like, oh, I don't need anything. I'm like, that's not the point. Like you could get help. You can get healthcare. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like you deserve. I just don't want to deal with them. And dude, guys like that, you just gotta let them be.
Well, I can understand that because it takes. How long have I been doing this?
2 years.
Yeah, at least 2 years trying to
2
get
years. Yeah.
trying to get stuff
Because
approved.
they just tire you out, man.
Yeah, they win the war of attrition.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
well,
They have
yeah,
all they have
do.
all the time in the world.
But when you
So,
have somebody like me that understands, like, oh, this is not a bullshit claim, because I've had people come to me be like, oh yeah, man, like I got issues, and I'm like, okay, cool, like we'll get your service records, and there's a way to do it, and I'll look at it, I go, man, I don't know if you can prove this, like it's really hard. No, I got people, and I'm like, dude, some people just bullshit their way. Some people do, but
Yeah.
you'll get caught, bro, and when you get caught, you're gonna get fucked.
Yeah.
Because that's defunding the government that you love right there. You know,
It's defrauding the government.
defrauding. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
defrauding.
yeah,
Fear
the only
hit me.
the thing that really bothered me in the military, other than the upper command, was that every time that the fiscal year ended,
Oh,
if there was money left over,
you got to spend it.
You gotta
have to
spend it,
spend
you
it.
won't get it the next year. It's like the
which is
school
the
system.
dumbest thing I ever heard of. It's like
No.
you save the government money and they're going to penalize you for
That's
it.
right. Yeah.
It's like if you save the money, if you still did the job and saved the money, they should say, okay, we'll just keep your budget
Yeah.
the same.
They don't
And you-
incentivize it.
Nope.
They penalize it.
I've seen a
you know how much time
$5,700
we bought shit?
trash can. $5,700 for a trash can.
Dude, don't get me started,
I
man. I
shit
hate
you
the
not.
government.
But it's a really big trash can.
But it's a nice trash can.
It's a nice
that-
trash
that
can.
you can't start a
It
fire
smells like
inside of it.
lavender.
That there's probably a few of them in Afghanistan.
There is. There is. I guarantee you there is. You can throw a dead body in there, it'll still smell like lavender.
It actually will, because it's sealed.
That's
It's,
convenient.
it's like, yeah. I ever told you when I was in Korea,
Oh.
this is not gonna go well.
Is this the ladyboy story?
I can tell that story now. I
That's
asked
the
that
lady
guy.
boy now. Oh,
That's
okay.
I made that up as a joke.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
tell
yeah.
that story.
Yeah.
So I won't tell names. I had a soldier that got roofied, and he brought a juicy girl on base.
Ouch.
Uh-huh.
Well, he says he got roofied.
No,
You guys
dude,
get
I
him.
started smoking the shit out of him when I found him, and his eyes were like black, and he was like not there, and I was like,
Yeah, he was
I had
definitely-
done some narcotic work, like I had done some work, like in some training,
Mhm.
and it was like to the T textbook, like non-responsive, pupil dilation,
Pupils is a dead giveaway though.
the lips were like super dry, and no matter how much water he drank, they would dry again. No sweating, like weird, like everything.
Oh,
And,
shallow breath.
yeah. I took him to the doctor, and they tested him, and they found MDMA, found a bunch of other shit, and the doctor's like, bro, he got roofied. Like we
Well,
gotta.
is the MDMA connected to the roofie, or is that just he got-
MDMA is basically.
I know what MDMA is.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know why that was relevant to the roofing.
Because it's the number one thing that they utilize to basically put you out in a state where you won't forget anything. You will not remember anything.
Okay.
That's why, and that's what
But
we
they
were
mix it with
taught.
other stuff too.
But they mix it with other
Yeah.
shit.
Sure.
It's just
That's
horrible.
what I was
So
curious about.
yeah,
because
yeah.
I've heard about MDMA.
it's MDMA by itself. I've never done it.
I've
But
heard it's a great time.
I've heard it's a great
really,
time.
Like it feels
heard
like
it's a great time.
ecstasy.
The problem is that it has to be done right, because you can overheat. Is
You
one
gotta
of the
be
things that it
supervised.
keeps-
Yeah, if
have
you're at like a
somebody there.
rave or something.
That's
I
why
mean,
they
I
have
don't
water.
think- I don't think people recreationally doing Molly.
You
are,
wouldn't do
like,
a little bit of
over-
Molly and go
over-
do jujitsu?
overheating. I don't think from what I've read that I would want to go do jujitsu if I was on Molly.
You're not gonna
Yeah.
want to go do jujitsu, my man. You're gonna
I
want to do
wouldn't
stuff
think
with your
so.
girl. That's what I know from all
From
the
what I've
people that
heard.
I've talked to.
From what
I've
I've
never
heard.
done it, dude. The only thing I've ever done is weed.
Well, from the
Everything
peop-
else scares the shit out of me.
From-
Scares the fuck out of me.
You did mushrooms, didn't you?
A while back,
Yeah.
but
Those are
it
the
didn't do
best.
anything because I was so scared
Oh,
that I took so little. It just did, like, you had to take the
Well, I got
mushrooms is you
that
have to
one
have a certain
from-
amount.
yeah.
And it was like
It's
I
just
took
magic.
so little, it didn't do anything. And my buddy's like, dude, you wasted them. It's like you have to eat a certain amount. And I was so scared. I was like, no. He had some, and he was like, this is fucking amazing.
It's amazing.
Well, he gave me a bag of them, and I didn't know how much to take. So
No, I
like,
didn't give you a bag. Who gave you
no,
a bag?
I didn't say you gave me a bag. I said I
Yeah.
got a bag of them,
Yeah.
and he didn't give me. There was no directions for them, so
Aaron's
I
like,
gave
"I'll take all of them."
I gave her a little less than half, and then I took a little more than half. Because if it was good, I
There's a
wanted.
body type
yeah.
too, right?
Well, I was bigger.
or I would imagine, hopefully,
Yeah,
right?
and she was smaller, so she gets a little bit. I get more.
How much smaller?
That's not.
Oh crap!
She's shorter. She was shorter.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
shorter. Okay. Anyway, we took the mushroom.
Of age, I would
Yeah.
assume.
Of course. She was 18.
Dude, good for you.
Yeah. Insane.
So
Anyway, the mushrooms were really good for if you have somebody else there. If I was by myself, it would have been very disappointing. If those particular mushrooms. That's all I'm saying.
I like weed for the pain property that it helps. Like it helps with joint pain and stuff like that.
It
That's
does
what I
help
like
with
about it.
But
That's
you're
what I
more
like
into
about it.
edibles, though.
I am. I don't like to smoke it. I hate the smell. It bothers me. Plus, I smoke cigars. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just what it is. Dude, I've always wanted to ask you this about Hillary, one of your black belts.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking about, right?
of course.
Hillary, what's
Not,
that?
Williams.
not Clinton.
Dr. Hillary Williams. She's a neurologist now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How the fuck did she beat Gabby? Like, was that?
Well,
I've
I mean,
always
in all
wanted to ask
fairness,
that.
she threw her.
She
right?
threw the fuck
Yeah,
out of
she
her.
threw her, and then she won by technicality because she was winning the match, and then after in the match she was cramped and she took a break for a cramp, and that's it. Like IBJJF is super strict, and
Mhm.
so that was it. And then so Hillary won the match, and Hillary's was an amazing competitor in black belt, but she beat her. She threw her. She beat her because Gabby made a mistake and was like, "Hey, stop! My arm's cramping," and so she disqualified herself. But
You would have to yell medical at that point, right? Is what you've
I don't
always
know.
told.
You could say like my elbow. You got it's so silly. It's got to be like that. But I feel like, dude, my elbow's popped or my wrist. But if it's a cramp, you DQ yourself.
Yeah.
So you can't say it's a cramp. But afterwards, like she had it out for Hillary, and I think she Americana'd Hillary once at least. But I mean, she's 200 something pounds. Like she was, I mean,
That was wild. I
two
remember
different things. But
seeing
dude,
that.
she threw her. Hillary was the type of athlete that you could show something to and she could just do it. Like I taught her a low single, and like the next week we were in Ohio and she took this girl down to low single, and people were like, "Where'd you wrestle at?" And she's like, "I never wrestled." And they were like, "Well, we saw you hit that low single." And she's like, "Oh no, Roli showed me that last week." And like she was such a good athlete and competitor and coach, and she was so coachable. But
That's
yeah,
really
she threw her.
important.
That's how she beat her. I mean, match to match. I mean, Gabby beats Hillary majority of the time because she was just so much bigger. If Hillary ever got on top of Gabby, I think Gabby would have been in trouble. But it was a hell of a throw. That throw lives on into infamousy. I mean, it was a
Wild.
throw head over heels. Big
It was
throw.
a Ogoshi.
It was Seanagi
Sanagi.
and Nogi.
Yeah.
But I mean,
was
Gabby
wild.
was bullying forward, kind of
Yeah.
bullying her, and she threw her. I was just thinking about Hillary the other day because she had a match against Megumi Fuji, who was like 18-0 in MMA, Sambo medalist, and a world medalist, black belt in jiu-jitsu. And Hillary grappled her. And Hillary was bigger than her, but I remember as I told Hillary, I was like, "Hey, when you guys, I want you to lock up with her, and I want you to shove her out of balance. First thing you do, just to like
Let
get
her
in her
know.
head, you know."
Yeah.
And man, I just remember Hillary doing it, and then the other girl pulled the guard. Hillary ended up submitting her, and it was a big win. Even though there was a size discrepancy, Hillary had only been training jiu-jitsu for like 3 years,
Yeah.
and she was a purple belt, and she submitted her. But I remember her; she just locked up with her and shoved her out of balance, and it was like as a coach, it's great to get athletes like Hillary or Bryce Mitchell or TJ Brown or whatever. But like when you get them and like when you like give them advice and they just go do it, it's like, oh, that's great. Because there's so much of coaching. It's like a fucking negotiation, and you're like, "Hey man, go do your best, man. I'm just here to support you,"
Yeah.
But like some people you can literally be like, "I think you should do this," and they'll go do that.
I don't think
It
I was ever
super
good
cool.
at competing. I don't think I was ever really good.
Well,
I
it's not-
competed a
how'd you-
shit ton.
how'd
I
you
competed
get-
against a lot of your guys.
Yeah. Well, how'd you get into coaching? You just come.
I think it came natural to me. to be honest. I think I want to coach naturally, and I was good at jujitsu and
Mhm.
just
I love how he says
Just
good
kind of
at jujitsu.
gravitated towards it, basically.
Huh?
Just kind of gravitated toward coaching.
yeah, I think I was just naturally like as a purple belt, I started a club and like started coaching people like on my own. And I love coaching people, man. I like doing it.
Oh,
So it just came natural. It's not something like I set out for. I kind of like as soon as I got good at jujitsu, uh started trying to help other people be good at jiu-jitsu, and I learned a lot coaching. And I think about how I was coaching in the beginning, and like I learned so much about coaching over the years, like
oh yeah.
like as a purple belt I was coaching like I was very unstructured and like showing way too much at once. And then you get good at coaching and you're like all about attribute building and like learning certain things at certain times.
Yeah.
And, like I would teach a seminar tomorrow, and so like you like teach these moves, but then you also try to like speak to the psychology of it. Like, hey, don't just go all in on just doing this. Like, this
Yeah.
is part of a greater system, and you use this, and if it doesn't work, you use it to improve your position and keep moving forward. You don't
Mhm.
just get stuck. Like a boxer just like knocks a guy out with the right hand. You can almost guarantee he's going to overthrow that same punch in his next fight.
Yeah.
And it's like the right hand fits in a greater sequence of punches. And so you jab the body, and you throw the right hand, and the guy may do that. And then all of a sudden the next fight, he doesn't throw the jabs to the body. He just throws the right hand. And like, there's this human condition where that's very common.
That happens a lot in jujitsu with guys. Like, I haven't been pulling guard as much. I've been wanting to play top a lot and like arm drag or like.
Yeah, but you got to
Yuri
wrestle
throw.
then. What are you going to do?
I don't want to talk about that really. Listen, if it
Well,
fails,
his
the
wife
first
says he
time-
likes to play top.
Oh Jesus Christ!
His wife said he likes to play bottom.
Oh
Ooh.
my God!
Dude, she has a
Does that
pretty,
bother you?
she
Why
has
does
a
that
pretty,
bother you?
It
What's
does
wrong?
not bother me, my man.
she has
What do
a
you
pretty
like
good
about
guard though. She has
I
a pretty
am-
good guard. So
Dude, it's been nice having you here, man. No, on a serious note, because I know you're tired, you motherfucker. Now you're gonna make me seem like I'm mad at him. Everybody on the page is gonna be like,
guys. It was a good
drinking
time.
brown people.
Yeah.
I had someone tell me that one day. They were like, you're not brown people. I'm like, and I said to this lady, I was like, I fucking hate brown people. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And I looked at her, I go, pues sí, señora, pues usted sabe, porque yo puedo decir. It completely lost her shit, dude.
Started speaking to her in tongues.
Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. That's my favorite thing to do when someone starts talking another language and I don't want to engage. I'm like, bless you.
Oh God. I get around my my Spanish friends, my Mexican friends, and they're like, "Oh, you don't speak Spanish?" Blah blah blah. Then I'm like, "I grew up with my mom. She's white. My dad lived in another state.
yeah, it's my mom's fault.
You know,
Blame
like,
my mom.
yeah, like what do you want from me? You want me to study it on my own? Like, I'm just not that guy. Like,
God, no,
I just,
dude. My dad was insistent on learning English, like really
Well, Spanish and
hardcore.
English, both.
Well, Spanish. I grew up learning Spanish. Like my mom, like my kid speaks Spanish. Like
Yeah.
she will. If you talk to her now, she's starting to like. She'll understand
Mhm.
and she'll answer in English.
Mhm.
I'm like, motherfucker, just answer in Spanish. You know?
yeah, good for
But
you.
sometimes she'll answer in Spanish when you speak English to her.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a common thing. And she
So-
was FaceTiming with my mom. And my mom said, hey, Dios te bendiga. And my kid says, bendición. And he's, bless me. My mom was like, oh my gosh, she understands what I'm saying. You didn't learn English until you were 6. I don't know how to take that to this day, bro. I do not
you're
know
not
how
as
to
smart as
take
your
that.
daughter, bro.
Yeah.
Next generation
You
is
would-
always better. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Maybe.
hopefully.
I wanted to tell my mom, you don't even speak fucking English. So,
Oof,
you know.
yeah,
but-
yeah.
I like when
that's-
people are like, they're like, yeah, it's all good. You come to this country, but you got to learn English, and they're looking at me and I'm like, yeah, man, like my grandparents' English sucked.
Yeah, because they came
More.
from Cuba, right?
Yeah, they came from
Yeah,
Cuba. And they went to work and then they went home. They
Yeah.
didn't fraternize. And you know where they worked? Where all the other fucking Hispanics were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like
Well,
that's
it was a different time then too.
sure it was, but it's just like I just think it's funny because it's like, man, like whatever. if you go to a store, the cashier doesn't speak English and you can't handle it, go to another store. Like
Yep.
it's all good. But like it's just one of those things where I'm like, nobody's more American than my grandfather. My grandfather's blindly American, you know, super conservative, 90 years old. Still, my grandfather's 90 years old. He killed 2 turkeys this year that I'm eating. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like,
eating. I'm
yeah,
eating. 'em.
dude,
Yeah.
I know it's amazing. He's such a cool guy, but his English sucks. It
Mhm.
sucks to a point that I can't have really great conversations with him. There's a lot of love. You know what I mean? There's a
Mhm.
lot of love. And my dad's there and I use
Yeah.
my father. But yeah, so like, anyways, but they gotta learn the single subject. Like there's nobody more American than my grandfather. Like my
Yeah.
grandfather, he saw Che Guevara in person. You know what I mean? My grandfather was in Castro's military.
Yeah.
Like my grandfather is American.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was as well, and their English sucks. So
We
it's
gotta
like,
get that guy, Rolly. You
I-
gotta
yeah,
actually interview
definitely.
that dude,
If-
man.
Definitely.
Dude, the questions
No,
that
I think the
have,
more
dude.
important thing is that if you're going to come, no matter what country you want to immigrate to, you need to assimilate to that culture. If you're in France, you need to assimilate to that culture.
so and I agree with that, right? In general, right? I really do. But like my grandparents came here.
Mhm.
They came to Florida. There wasn't any work in Florida. The U.S. government, Lyndon Johnson, brought them to Chicago, put them in a hotel room, got them factory work. They
Mhm.
got an apartment, right? And
Yeah.
so they cooked Cuban food. They didn't cook
Yeah.
American food. They put their kids in obviously in school. They had a dual income. They ended up settling into United Airlines. Never really learned English. Never really did anything American other than capitalism. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they ended up investing in real estate and
Yeah.
like buying
Yeah.
property and stuff. So it's like they were American to the core more than any American, more than any native born person I've ever met, more than any native, including myself, definitely including myself. They were American, but they never really like they were American, but like it's assimilated as like, and I'm with you. Like I don't want people.
I
coming
don't. I
here-
don't think
my,
you
my,
should lose your culture because they're Cuban and they still
my
cook.
grandparents never, and I think this is what you mean, and we're on the same page. I'm just trying to put some depth to the conversation.
Mhm.
They never put a Cuban flag in their yard. They
Yeah.
fucking hated Cuba.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather never went back. My grandmother went a few times to see family.
Mhm.
They hate what Cuba
It's crazy.
is.
It's
And
crazy.
Oh yeah.
they're true Americans. But so like I get the whole like, don't come here and then like, you know, still be Mexican. No, like come here and be an American. But like it's just not black and white. And I come at it from that way because I know my grandparents. And it's like they didn't learn English. And like, should they have? Maybe they should have learned it better. But man, they just went to work and then they came
Yeah.
home and they spent
there
the
wasn't that
time.
many resources either. That's the number one thing.
Well,
that
that's-
stops
yeah.
people.
That's
is-
probably part of it. They would
is-
bring my dad and my aunt
Yeah.
Okay.
to speak for them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
At
Yeah.
doctors' offices and stuff. They
Yeah.
had the kids to speak English for them. My grandmother never drove.
Oh really?
Wow.
Yeah, my grandmother never got a driver's license, never learned to drive, man. Crazy. Just
Wow.
stubborn old fuckers, man. My grandparents got my grandmother's passed away, my grandfather's alive, and they took care of me. The summers I would go spend at my dad, he would just dump me off with my grandparents. And man, they took good care of me. I loved them. I love them. And but man, they're stubborn motherfuckers, man.
I'll bet.
Such stubborn people.
My grandmother was the contrary. My grandmother was like, learn fucking English. Learn fucking English. You better like it. You better eat it. You better learn both. And then when I became an interpreter, they were like, huh, I guess that's
it worked out.
better than what we thought, you know?
Oh.
Well,
Like that's way better.
She didn't go. You're welcome.
The
No.
only American meal besides pancakes my grandmother ever made me was spaghetti with hot dogs cut up in the spaghetti. Imagine you're Cuban. That makes sense.
That doesn't make.
Rice
If you're
with eggs?
Cuban, it makes sense.
Rice and beans with eggs.
I don't know if I had it with eggs. I've
I don't
had
think I've
huevos
ever
con
had it with
chorizo and stuff like
That's like
from
poor,
Mexican
poor man's
restaurants.
stew.
Is
Well,
it?
but not poor man's stew.
The
Like poor
ropa
man's
vieja and like we
Ropa
had
vieja,
great
yeah,
soups.
yeah, yeah.
Like my
Soups.
grandmother could cook.
Yeah.
Flan, you know, like I took it for granted as a kid, man. And now every time I come to a major, do you have Cuban food in Springfield?
Cuban?
I
food?
got
No,
Puerto Rican food.
It's not Cuban food.
Not Cuban.
We don't
Damn it,
have it in
bro.
Little Rock either, man. We don't have it in Little Rock. So like whenever I go to a new city, like man, I go get Cuban food. My grandfather used to make me papaya shakes, and
Papaya,
that's
yeah.
dude,
Mhm.
I smell cumin cooking,
Oh, yeah.
roasted pork
Mhm.
and papaya shakes. And man, like it just takes me back, man. I really wish I could have appreciated the food better
That's
when I
one
was
thing
a kid.
I've
I wish
never
me
actually had the
mother-
papaya shakes, but I've had papaya before. So
I've had papaya. I've never had the shake. That's one thing I miss about back home, and it sucks not having my parents nearby. Is that I miss my mom cooking.
oh yeah,
Like I miss
yeah.
my mom, and now me and my dad like we get along really well. You know, kids change people, man.
Mhm.
Kids really change people. Like I always thought that was bullshit. Kids will fucking change someone dramatically.
Do you
Oh,
feel like
definitely.
now that you have a kid that you can, and you kind of have that dynamic? Was your father and mother together? Okay.
No,
So now
most
that
people don't know this. My mother left when I was 5.
okay, you were raised by which one?
I was raised by my dad's wife, Annie, who I call mom.
Okay.
Annie Martinez.
And
And
so
then-
but you struggled with your relationship with your father?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
My dad, here's the thing. Most people don't know my dad was an undercover cop for many years. And I never knew that. I never ever knew that. I knew my
Yeah.
dad was a cop. I didn't know what he did.
Mhm.
And
And
that's
he had 2 families, so it made it difficult. So, I mean, when he was undercover,
so
he was
being undercover, bro.
That's all I'm
I saw him with one time and he was like, shh. I'm clipping this and he's gonna hear that, right?
Do you feel like having a kid that's just like, and like dealing with the dynamics of the mother and like you, and like, do you feel like that just helps you see things from your father, like give you empathy for where your
No.
father came from?
No, because I
No.
got that before.
Okay.
This is what people don't get about me. Audrey Williams, you know Audrey, right? Matt Williams' wife.
Mhm.
So Audrey helped a trafficking victim that I had helped.
Okay.
And Audrey never saw that side of me. Like people always say, he's so goofy and smiley and blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, bro, because like for like years, I worked trafficking cases.
Mm.
And I know of people who sold their fucking kids,
Oh yeah.
who would sell their fucking kids for hours just so they can make money, who would prostitute their fucking kids. And I never understood how you could do that to something that you love so much. So when I had my own kid, I was like, if anyone ever does something to my kid, like, God help you. God fucking help you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because after all the shit that I've seen, I started realizing, like, oh, that's why my dad was a little paranoid about shit. You know, that's why my dad,
the worst.
because he saw the worst of the worst and he couldn't fucking talk about it.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
That's when I understood my father, because I couldn't talk about 99% of the shit that I did for years.
Yeah.
I would just come home and I'd just fucking go to a corner and just look at my fire pit and just cry. Because I just could not, because as an interpreter, you can't show any emotion. You can't fucking give advice. You just shut the fuck up
You just
and you
interpret.
go home. And dude, I had cases. I had incest cases. I had domestic violence cases.
You'd be
and,
surprised the type of evil another person could visit
Yeah,
onto
dude.
another one.
And that's when I
It's
realized
unimaginable.
what my dad went through was because he couldn't tell us about those things. But through his actions, I started thinking. I've had a lot of time to think about that. I started thinking about a lot of shit that I do. Like when I'll go, oh, that person's giving me a vibe. And I
Mhm.
can justify it. Oh, this doesn't look right. Oh, there's a possibility of this going bad, you know? And I started understanding my dad. And I was like, oh shit. And then when I had a kid, I was like, oh yeah, I was right. Like I was 100% right. That's the issue. You know, like some people don't get that.
Mhm.
Some people, bless their soul, man. They've really never. Some people will never know how fucking shitty another human being can be to someone else for no fucking reason whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not for
For
revenge.
no reason. It's not revenge. It's not hatred. It's just money
You're a product. You're
Or
not even a
survival.
You're not even
Yeah.
a person.
or survival.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when I do like I teach interpreters about human trafficking cases now. Like I talk to them about on how to deal, and I consult with them because a lot of them, the problem they have is they just can't sleep because they're like, how can a person like do this shit? Like, why would you do that to your own fucking kid? And like, that's where I come in and I, tell them straight up, like, listen, like, if you can't handle this, don't fucking do it. Just don't do it, because you're going to have a lot of nights where you're going to be up questioning, like, why the fuck is someone not? And I a lot of times this went through my head was, how has someone not put a bullet in your head?
Yeah.
Like after what you did.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people deserve second chances, but that's when I started understanding like what it was like to be a parent. And when I had my kid, I was like, oh, okay. I understand and I have a perception now and I have these skills that I'm going to pass on to people and whatnot. And dude, that's the other thing is like I want to get my dad out of the island. Like that's why I want all this shit to grow. You know, eventually I'd like to get him the fuck out of the island because there's nothing there, dude. There's nothing in Puerto Rico. There's a shit ton of corruption in fucking Puerto Rico. And don't get me wrong, Puerto Rico's great. I will never I'll shit on Puerto Rico where I need to, but at the same time, it's who made me the man I am, right?
Sure.
But it's like there's so much blatant corruption that and there's no way out sometimes.
Yeah, see, I had a different experience when I was in Puerto Rico because I'm not from there, you know, and I lived there. I was there for 3 years. I lived
How are
there.
your kids?
I don't know. I don't go back.
We caught on quick.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, dude, you know how many times I tell him that?
Yeah.
This motherfucker has pipes. We had a Christian Christian
Oh, yeah,
Hutchinson
yeah.
from Just for Him,
Mhm.
which by the way, if you're in town, you should go to Just for Him.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea what reference.
Cigars. It's a
Okay.
cigar place.
Cigars,
it's the
pipes,
number one cigar
tobacco.
place
Yeah.
in the state.
Mhm.
They sell the best cigars there. Like literally
Just for
and-
him.
just for
Maybe I'll
him.
go in the morning because
What time's your seminar?
I got to be there at 11:30 to teach a private, but at 1.
Okay.
What
So
time
usually
is
go
it?
at 10.
Yeah.
It opens at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would pick a couple up. My wife likes to smoke cigars every once in a while. She's the best. She's such a cool chick.
So we had him and he's showing him pipes from like fucking Finland, from fucking bumfuck Egypt. And I'm like, what the fuck? This motherfucker's seen the world. This motherfucker probably has a kid in every country. There's probably some
I
kid
keep
that's
waiting for-
balding early.
I
that-
keep waiting for some young man to knock on my door smoking a cigarette with a French accent and he goes, "You're my father. I hate you."
I hate
You'd
He'd be like, well, hell yeah.
"You are my kid."
Dude, the first thing honestly, if that ever happened to me, the first thing I'm doing is like, cool, let's go get a DNA test.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, like
The second thing you do is be like, you got to come on a podcast, bro. You might come up. Let's do this. This is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
after this.
viral Patreon video.
Would be even better if they came from Spain because I have an interpreter.
Oh
There
my
you
god,
go.
no,
Yeah.
stop the madness. Rolly, you've been awesome, bro.
Yes.
I know you got to get some sleep. You've been on the road, but where can people find you? Where can they launch you? In your leg lock series, by the way.
Oh man, I don't know where that's still available. I probably should re-release it at some point.
Did you put it on
BJJ videos?
It was on Dig Jitsu, and I don't even know if Dig Jitsu is still around. It's so wild. So like, it's nobody needs to find me. You can find me on Instagram. You can search me Roli Delgado or Roli-Delgado. I don't even know. But like,
I love
like I
it.
got this guy, he's a really high level jiu-jitsu guy working for me named Ataiji. Ataiji is how you say his name correctly. And he said, man, you need to put more stuff on your Instagram. Like there's these people out there, they have all these followers.
Yeah.
They're not as good as you, or they're not as experienced or whatever. And I said, man, I don't really care about that, man. You know, like I'm not trying to build my followers up. I said, if I have a cool move to show, I'll show it on your Instagram. Like I want to build your Instagram up, you know?
Mhm.
And it's not me being, again, falsely modest or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, my time coaching and stuff is, you know, I go do seminars for people that want them, and I train my students, and but I'm not trying to promote myself. I don't have a
Yeah.
website anymore.
You're
I've
pretty
got
happy,
Facebook
though.
and Instagram. I am. I'm happy. I've worked really hard. I've got I'm not a multi-millionaire, you know.
Mhm.
I've got my little spread. I've got my gyms, and I've met the girl of my dreams. I want to
Well,
raise my
you're pretty
family.
busy as it is with the coaching and the seminars and everything.
Trying to
and then
make
the
two
real estate.
kids.
Trying to make 2
you know?
kids, that's going to take some time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been practicing.
Yeah.
So, practicing a lot.
What do we say in jiu-jitsu?
Well,
You gotta drill the move till you get the move.
Yeah,
That's right.
there you go. Drill,
so-
drill.
So yeah, nobody needs to find me. I'm just I was happy to make use of the time. I actually, like I said, it was just kind of like today for me was I'm trying to be more mindful. Like so much of my life I don't remember because I've always been thinking about the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Oh yeah.
And so I just feel like there's gaps in my memory of time periods of my life because I've just always been grinding and working and living in the next moment instead of the moment. And so like I knew I had like again, I was just gonna drive here and drive back. And so I left this morning. I went to Bentonville, Arkansas,
Mhm.
got to spend time with somebody who was I was very influential in their jujitsu journey and life. And they were very influential in mine. And I got to visit their gym, got to eat lunch with them. And then did you message me? And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna come up early.
I
Like,
just said hi. Like I was
You know?
like, hey man, heard you're walking by. If you want to swing by.
yeah, but it was good. Then I was,
Yeah.
in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go smoke a cigar and drink some whiskey, and I have an excuse to give my opinion on something.
There you go. Yeah.
So today
Yeah.
was like really a nice kind of like, and what's funny is even though it was like a mental like break for me, like I really tried to just kind of take a personal day and just kind of work my
Mhm.
way into the seminar because I haven't done seminars in a while. Because I was doing so much real estate, and I'm going to start doing more seminars because real estate slowed down.
Mhm.
Even though I did that, like God, I still worked a ton. I was working the phone, I've got a couple
Oh, yeah.
deals still going through,
Yeah.
and you're coordinating with the title company and details about prorated rents and this and that. Dealing with, Bryce Mitchell's got his fight coming up November 5th. And so we're dealing with travel arrangements for that. And I had to talk to him about some stuff and some
Yeah, you're
planning
always
and
on the
training.
hustle. Always hustling.
Yeah.
Always doing something.
Yeah.
But it was even on your day where you're like, I'm gonna take a me day, I'm gonna vibe through the universe and do a
Yeah.
podcast and smoke a cigar and sneak up early. You still end up working. But anyways, yeah, nobody needs to find me. If you do need to find me, just Google, you'll find my Facebook or my Instagram. I don't know my Instagram handle. And but dude, it was fun talking and stuff.
Dude, no.
Oh, great.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
and we
And you
weren't-
hate the government. I remember.
Yeah, I
that.
remember that. And I
fucking
hate the
the
government.
government. And if there's any miscommunication about that, it's the US government I'm talking about. The rest of them suck too. Like you see what's going on in Europe?
Taxes.
You
Yeah.
see what's happening in
I
Europe?
have seen what's going on. Yeah.
Together? They all got together and they're like, hey, like let's all get
Jesus.
together and make things better. Oh my God, we have bad inflation as well.
Yeah.
The pound's less than the dollar right now.
And the
They're
green
burning the fuck out of the dollar. Like, dude, I hate the government and I also hate your government. Wherever you're from, watching this, there's almost a guarantee. As a matter of fact, I can guarantee I hate your government too.
Barbados, maybe.
I hate your government.
Hey, they just overthrew the monarchy. Okay.
Okay,
Give them a
congrats.
break. Give them a break.
Well, then I don't hate that, but I hate what it's going to be replaced with.
Roli Delgado, everybody.